Hey everybody, Tony Winston here for Jazz Piano College, working out of this book today. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, so I think there's about 4 different editions of this. Frank Mantooth's, professionally altered chords of, standard songs. And today I'm working on Cry Me a River.
Now you say you're lonely.
And I'm going to start off as I usually do with just kind of a beginner video, beginner, intermediate, just going over the basic chords. But then I'm also going to talk a little bit about knowing what key we're in this song and how to transpose it, because a lot of girls like to sing this song, and I think the key right here is not really a great key for a girl. It's more like a key for a guy. And the famous line, the famous melody there that is used as a quote a lot of times in other songs. You can use that little melody as a quote, or you can add it to your arsenal of ideas that you use when you're improvising. The bridge in this song has a kind of a weak spot as it goes back into the verse, so I'm going to try to reharmonize that a little bit, and I will talk a little bit about drop 2 voicing in the bridge. Okay, so let's just get to work on the basic chords. Going to be very basic, most chords in root position, chords in the left hand, more for beginners. So C minor, and then just move the 5th up there to A flat, and that is an A flat chord. Sometimes you'll see this as C minor with a flat 6, but that's kind of not an official chord, so let's just take it this way. Then moving that note up again, and one more time. And notice I left the 5th out every time. I don't know why, I just did. And then we go to F minor. Now sometimes, you have to hit the chord and then play the melody right in there. You could take it up an octave, but we're going to try to keep it here. Now it says B flat suspended and B flat 13. And I'll just remind you that any number greater than 7 means it's a 7th chord. So B flat 7th is perfectly fine here. That is what it is. The 13 is like a G chord. So if you're going to play a big chord, you could, put that note in there. And the suspension means that the 3rd, or thirds in this case, have been moved up. So you could really just play something like this and then like that. E flat major 7th. I could leave the 3rd out because I'm playing it here, but you don't have to. All right, D minor 11th. What does that really mean? It means D minor 7th. And so many times it's the melody that is playing, the 11th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, the 11th note of the scale. Now it says G7 next. If you played it right on the next beat, you get that funny sounding dissonance. I kind of like it. I mean, this is a, kind of an advanced harmonic idea, but it goes by so quickly. I think it sounds good that way. Now G minor 11th, let's just play G minor 7th, because our melody is the 11th. And even same here on the C7. It's the melody that's the flat 9, so no need to worry about that. Here comes F7th. The 9 is the melody. All right, and it says suspended, so I can move the 3rd up. And then on the next chord, F13, that's just F7, so I'm just going back to the 3rd there. The 13 is there, but I would save those big extensions, 13s, 9ths, and stuff like that, for when you're learning bigger chords, open voicings, like that. Okay, and then we've got a B7. If you wanted to put the 9 in, it's that note. Here it just says E flat, but a 6th would be nice. And you could play it like this. All right. right? Using the reharm, A flat seventh. We're getting kind of low, so A flat seventh, G seventh. You can always leave the fifth out of a dominant chord. And, to keep it from sounding so muddy, I put the third up there and moved it down here. Okay, here's the second verse. I'll just play it quickly because it's the same. So we finally end up on the key that we're in. We're in the key of E flat. And so in playing this song, especially if you're going to transpose it to another key, you want to remember that you take whatever key you're in and you start on the relative minor, which is just down a minor third. Like, that's how you find it. C minor. Okay. Now, you also have to remember that the bridge comes up to the third degree of the scale and plays a minor chord there. So we were in E flat, we want to move to G. How do we get there? 2, 5, 1. And that's what these chords say here. So you play E flat for 2 beats, 2, then A minor 7 flat 5, and D7, and G minor. And I think a G minor 6th sounds really good here. And what have they got for the real chord? Yeah, kind of a classical thing by putting the third in the bass. But let's look at the reharm. We've got E7. It says sharp 11 and sharp 9. Well, we get to the sharp 9 right there. The sharp 11 is like a flat 5, same thing. I actually think a minor 7 flat 5 sounds good there, which is, if you'll notice, the same chord as G minor 6. So maybe I'll just start with G minor. And then you could call it G minor 6, but it sounds more like E minor 7 flat 5. Okay, so this is going to be a 1, 6, 2, 5. That's how our bass is going. So A minor, and a minor 7, flat 5, you really do have to pay attention to the flat 5. 9s, 11s, and 13s, you can just think of them as 7s for now, but because they are 7th chords with the addition of a 9 and 11 and 13. So, but A minor 7, flat 5, that's a number smaller than 7, so we have to pay attention to that. So there it is, A minor 7, flat to 5, D sus, and then resolve it if you want to. You don't have to. And I think the same chord is good here, but you could do the E7, and that gives you a flat 13. That gives you the sharp 9 if you want to add it in there. Once again, the A minor 7. And a reharm would be an E flat chord, E flat 7th. The 13 is the melody. The A would be the sharp 11. And then just take it down a half step. And here we go again. Now we come to this last 2 measures of the bridge, which I think is kind of a weak.
I remember all that you said. Told me love was too plebeian. Told me you were through with me. And now you say you love me.
Now we come to this last two measures of the bridge, which I think is kind of a weak spot in the song, because it doesn't do much. It just stays on G. You know, goes down to the 2 chord and back up to the G and onto C minor. Now, when I listen to Julie London sing this, she sang it more like this. Kind of a G 7th with a sharp 9. She sang the B flat there, which is really appropriate. You know, when you're going to a minor chord from a dominant chord, it's good to have some of these, what we call altered tensions. So instead of regular 9, a sharp 9 is really good there. Now, I thought of all kinds of ways to reharmonize this. None of them really came out that great. But let me just show you quickly some of the ideas. So starting on a G, kind of doing that, moving one of the notes. In this case, it's the 3rd. That's kind of what the book is telling you to do, though it says start on a sus chord. So, instead of G7, so we could go. And then back down. And I think that's really pretty good. So. And then back to the verse, which we've already covered, but I'm going to play it with open voicings now. I said I would talk a little bit about drop 2 or block voicings in the bridge. So if you think G minor 6th, you're going up the scale. So, the technique here is to play the chord, play the diminished chord here, and back to the chord. Now down on the 5th, and, sometimes there will be a passing tone here. But in this case, there isn't. So we just have to go from G minor 6 to another G minor 6, then the diminished chord, and we end up on our root. Here's A minor, flat 5. You can kind of just move the melody around. So with drop 2, you take the second note from the top and bring it down an octave, and usually just play 4 notes like this. All right. Now, I mentioned too that you can use this melody as a quote, so I'll use it in 2 songs. Fly Me to the Moon, so if you're going like, like that, see? Or if you're improvising on Blue Bossa. Yeah, you'll hear it a lot. Now that you've heard it, a bunch of times, you'll hear it in jazz solos fairly often. There's a lot of other kind of common cliche riffs too, but this is a good one to have in your arsenal. Okay, let's transpose this thing into Julie London's key, and this will be good for girl singers. And I'm just going to play the chords in case you want to sing along. And, I'm not looking at every chord and thinking, okay, I'm going to move this up a major third. That's not what I'm going to do. I'm remembering that the song is now, instead of the key of E flat, we're going to move it up to the key of G. That's Julie London's key. I'm going to remember that the song starts on the relative minor and that the bridge goes to the third of the key. So it'll be B minor in the bridge. And then, this song follows the, cycle of fifths. It's a 1, 6, 2, 5 a lot of times. So it's not really a hard song to transpose if you think of it that way. So here we go in the key of G major, starting in E minor. Now let me give a little introduction. So and then, singers have to be able to hear like what the next note is. It's leading to this, but the melody note is there on the ninth. So once again, the introduction. Not a song I've played all that much, so when I accompany, I try to avoid the melody. for the most part. And since I don't know the song that well, I probably was hitting a lot of melody notes that might interfere with the singer. And of course, if I hear the singer, it makes it a little bit easier. So anyway, there you go. That's all I'm going to do on this song today, but thank you very much. And just a quick reminder that, like the video and leave me a comment. If you don't think those comments motivate me, believe me, they do. I get some really wonderful comments on this channel, so thank you all so much, and I'll see you again soon.